I really, really love architecture. I like houses. I like going into these houses and seeing things, how things are built and why they're built that way, and just a different design, and learning about different architects and stuff like that. That really just, it kind of, it really, it just, I don't know, it just, there's something about it that I get a kick out of it. It's kind of like that sexy girl, you know what I mean? But it's like that sexy house. You sit there and you're like, wow, like, who did this? Like, what was this guy thinking when he did this? So that's what I like about it. Every house is different. Every transaction is different. It's like there's not one thing that's the same. You get in one transaction that can be super smooth, but then there's another one that's like, hell in a handbasket and back. But what I love about it is all the challenges that are thrown at you. Because all we basically are is we're like firefighters. There's always a new challenge, and we have to put that fire out to keep our client happy and to keep them moving forward and to keep them in the game. Because people, they're not used to things like this. So they get, people really do need a real estate agent. Otherwise, the transactions wouldn't be put together. My biggest challenge was my age. And I was 19 and I looked like I was 12. And I still sometimes, not really now, but even now, I still look like I'm a lot younger. So that was my biggest challenge, going up to someone and trying to convince them to either sell their property or list it with me. And a lot of times it was a challenge in a sense where I had people look at me and say, well, what are you going to tell me about selling a house? You're like 12 years old, dude. And that was one of my biggest challenges. But how I overcame that was I overloaded myself with education. So what I started to do is I realized I have to prove to these people that I actually know what I'm talking about. Having a college degree isn't enough. So I had to really prove that I know what I'm doing and that I can give them advice. And so what I started to do was I would read the purchase agreement and the listing agreement every day for about an hour. I would read them every single day. I sat with my brother one time, who's an attorney, and I had him explain parts of the contracts that I didn't understand. I spent a lot of time on CAR Legal. I would constantly call CAR Legal and just ask questions that I didn't have answers to or that I didn't know. And I wasn't calling on specific transactions, but I figured, hey, I'm paying for this membership. I might as well use this. And so I would call CAR Legal or Legal Hotline, and I would ask them, hey, I don't understand what this line means, like liquidated damages and arbitration and stuff like that. I didn't understand how I should explain that. Hell, I didn't even know what it meant. So I'd call them and ask them, hey, how do I explain this to me like you're explaining it to a 5-year-old? What does this mean? How do I explain this to my clients? One of the things that I was focused on at that time was more learning and the education as opposed to how much I was getting paid. Because I noticed that now when people get their licenses, they're going around looking for the brokerage that's going to give them 100% commission. But the way I saw it was, well, what good is it for me to get 100% commission if I don't even know what I'm doing? And I can't even get a deal together, so I'm getting really 100% of nothing. I'd rather get 50%, 60%, whatever of something, and also in exchange, get all the knowledge that I'm going to get out of there. Words of advice for the new agents coming in is really don't focus on your commission, on what you're going to make or how much you're going to get paid. Because if that's what you're focused on, you're in the wrong business. It is not the kind of business. Yeah, can you make a lot of money in this business? Absolutely. But you can also make no money in this business. And then for the agents that are here now is that you really have to adapt to what's going on now. I run into a lot of agents that are older than me, and they say, well, I've been in the business for so long and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's great, but the business has changed already. And, I always tell people, you live in my world now. So whatever you did in the past we're not doing it anymore. Now you're working with a bunch of millennials, you're working with a bunch of young people. Now you're doing the things that we do. You're on Facebook. We created Facebook. You're on Twitter. We started Twitter. So you got to adapt to our world. The good thing about the experienced agents is, yeah, they got the experience and you can't take that away from them, but they also got to learn to adapt and do things the way that they're being done now, and to make themselves more more savvier, I guess. I'm Ernie Aguilar, and I'm proud to be a realtor.